In this episode, I'm going to be interviewing Dave Savage from Mortgage Coach Win by Noon. Dave Savage is going to talk about the strategies a real estate agent, team leader, broker owner can implement in their business today to become a real estate advisor running parallel to a mortgage advisor to help not only focus on files, but families. Hey, what's up, you guys? Jeff Cohn here with another episode of the Team Building Podcast, where we interview top team leaders, broker owners, and thought leaders from across the country. We have today a very special guest, one of the top, if not the number one speaker in the nation when it comes to the mortgage business, Mr. and the one and only Dave Savage, Winning by Noon. Dave, welcome to the podcast today.
I love that, man. Hey, it's good to be here, brother. I am excited to be on your show.
Dude, excited to have you. I've never done an intro like that. By the way, when you drive up to like a McDonald's or any of the places that have like the pre-recorded, hello, welcome, how can I take your order? I always personally record that introduction. So you guys probably know that if you listen to the show,
really?
But I always do that intro.
Factoid.
Yeah, it's always me. It's just me live and in person. Here we go. So Dave is hailing from where, Dave?
I am out of Newport Beach, California at the moment in our innovation studio.
And how often are you there? That's my question, because Dave is the man of traveling, man of many places. I see you everywhere.
Yeah, I have typically done about 80,000 miles a year, but I think I'm down. I think I'll be at about 50,000 miles this year. So I'm here
winding down a little bit. Winding down.
Yeah, calming down a little bit.
Yeah. So one of the things I'll say about you, and then you can brag about who you are out there. Our audience is comprised of team leaders, broker owners, individual agents, and we've got big mortgage teams, title teams, insurance teams. This is all team specific, and you're one of the, I think, the best on this topic. And he just had me on his show just in the last couple of weeks, which just aired, I think, 2 weeks ago. I've had a lot of great feedback, by the way. You did a great job on that, Dave. One of the biggest things that I feel like you're known for is teaching loan officers how to be more profitable and how to spend their time in the right places, which perfectly parallels and ties into real estate agents. And I want to talk today about how agents and brokers, mortgage loan officers can win together. Now more than ever, there needs to be that team environment between the agent and the loan officer. So we'll get into that. But what really has stood out to me, Dave, over the last couple of years that I've gotten to know you better is you are probably one of the top mastermind / communicators at events. Dave doesn't go in and watch the content unless he's asked to be on stage. He sits just outside the conference center, and I'm going to actually steal this from you the rest of my life. And he has a spot. He establishes his spot. You might as well bring like your name plaque and just set it on the table. He picks the best spot.
That's a good idea.
It is. It'd be hilarious too. You just put like a light there and everyone will think, oh, someone's doing a podcast. We actually should do this from now on. So he has his spot and I'm going to steal it. We're going to probably be fighting over the best spot next time. And all day long, every day of the event, 3.5 days at the gathering 3 weeks ago, he's meeting with people. I met with him. He met with all the best people. He just says, hey, let's chat, and just sits and talks and builds relationships and learns and grows and shares. And he doesn't ask, like, he's always giving. That's the thing I think that's unique about you, Dave. And I think it's just a matter of like, what are you, 35, 40 years old now? So as you're in the business, the longer you're in it, it's not about the money, right? It's about the lives you impact. And you are a servant leader. You're a great example of that. You never have talked to me about money. It's always about impact, how to help other people, how to be part of your nonprofit. And that's really stood out to me. So just so you know, I've never shared that with you yet. We're sharing it publicly. That's really impressed me about you and makes me want to be in your world more. So talk about your world. Let our listeners know who you are if they've never heard of you.
Yeah. So I've always been a very purpose-driven entrepreneur. I'm definitely about profits. I was once upon a time a top 50 loan officer in the country who came up with an idea called Mortgage Coach. And it was all about leadership. Early on in my career, when I went from being a top producer to being one of the top in the country, I really learned that it was all about wowing people at scale. Like if I could meet with a borrower, ask them 5 minutes worth of questions, and then literally show them and teach them things that they had never thought about. Like the game was to get them to say, wow. And when I founded Mortgage Coach, the actual company name, you may or may not know this, Jeff, was Wow Tools. So I developed a wow tool, and then I became very passionate about technology, creating products that created wow. That really has been my career. creating impact for people. Like that, those are my two words for this year. And really they've been my two words for my entire career, is obsessed with impact. But I think where this aligns with, your team podcast, I've always believed that the best loan officers and the best realtors are the best leaders to their customers, to their internal teams. For loan officers, I always talk about be a leader to a realtor. If you can, help them close more business, if you can be a conversion partner by referring you business, they will actually get more of the buyers or the sellers to do business with them. Now you're really creating tangible value. So purpose and profits has always been my compass as an entrepreneur and a professional.
Cool. From a business standpoint, let's talk entrepreneurially for a minute. You were in the game. You were a loan officer. You said top 50. And there was this moment in your career where you thought, I think we can do better. I think you could be the conduit to providing content that will help people become better. Probably similar to when I chose to launch our podcast almost 10 years ago. You created a product called Mortgage Coach. He's wearing a shirt right now for those listening. That's his logo. Mortgage Coach looks super sleek, black background, white lettering, and a blue logo. And you decided to take it to the next level. For anyone listening that wants to be like you when they grow up and believe they can bring content to their industry, whatever industry that is, how did you get started in creating impact outside your own city? Like, how did you become an influencer or a name nationally? Because you are a huge name. Anyone in the mortgage space, when I told people a couple of years back that I was going to be on your show, everyone's like, oh my gosh, he's like a big deal. Like, you're a celebrity. You're micro famous in the mortgage space.
Well, thank you. I appreciate that. It's always been about impact. As a loan officer, I wanted to be the top producer in my company, and then I wanted to be the top producer in my city, and then I wanted to be the top producer in my state, and I wanted to be the top producer in the country. But it was always about families served. I've always been about families, not files, and creating impact. And
do you have like a website we can go to see? You've said like 3 now, and they're all fire, bro. Families, not files. Like, you've said 3 different, I don't know what you call these, but 2 or 3 word sentences that like define what's important to you. If you don't have that somewhere, we need to create a landing page where we can just go see all of Dave's isms. If
you follow the savageinsights.com has a lot of links to my most recent content and some of the things that I think are most valuable. It's always changing. Check it out. savageinsights.com.
Daveisms.com. We need your guy to go buy that today. It's $11.99, I guarantee, on GoDaddy. Daveisms.com. Daveisms.com.
That's hilarious. All right. I'll have to start making a note of those things. So when I made the transition from operator in the industry, I was building my mortgage company. I think I went from about a branch of myself and 10 loan officers, and at some point had over 100 loan officers. But when I developed Mortgage Coach, it was a competitive advantage for our company. And then as it became a big deal in the industry, and I had 500 loan officers that bought it and 1,000, I really believed that I could, with Mortgage Coach, change how people get into debt in America. I truly believe the way most loan officers serve a family: here's your rate, here's your payment, here's your cash to close, and this is what you qualify for, is not enough. At the end of the day, people don't get, loans on real estate because they want loans. They get them because they want homes. And the true American dream is home ownership with financial freedom. And if that's the American dream, home ownership with financial freedom, then just pre-qualifying someone for how much they qualify for and showing them their monthly payment and what their cash to close is, that's not enough. You got to show people how they can accelerate building net worth faster. Hey, if you bought this home and you rented out this home, look, you could become financially free 10 years faster. Or if you moved up, like, I know you've got a 3.5% rate, but if you bought that move up home that's $150,000 higher in price, does that accelerate your freedom point? And so I just feel like with these large settlement changes, finally, I think realtors are going to start making note of what Mortgage Coach loan officers have been doing for a long time, that if we really want to help people get the American dream, we need to sell homes and lifestyle, but we need to show them how it impacts their net worth, and we need to help them map that to how it helps them achieve financial freedom.
I love it. I've never heard anyone say help people get into debt differently and become more self-aware of what they're choosing to sign on for, not just looking at rate, but looking at the overall. There's a lot of little strategies that people don't talk about enough, like making one extra payment a year. You can pay your loan down in 17 versus 30, or just doing a 15 versus a 30, how much that saves someone overall. But rarely are loan officers talking about it. To your point, they just want to get them into the easiest, simplest solution, lowest payment. That's not always what matters most to someone. And as a mortgage coach, not only are you coaching mortgage lenders, but mortgage lenders are coaching their clients, their advisors, mortgage advisor.
Yeah. And we automate those strategies. Like in a mortgage coach, you can say, what about this loan versus that loan? What if you prepaid the mortgage by $300 a month? Or what if you took that $300 and invested it in the S&P? Which one helps you achieve your financial freedom faster? So it's all about helping people make more strategic decisions so they can build wealth faster. And I do think for every realtor listening to this, you want to make sure your loan officers are doing more than a pre-qual, especially when you're going to have to negotiate your comp and get a buyer's agreement signed. You want to be as valuable as you can. You want to be special and unique in the marketplace that you serve.
The wow factor. I love it. I love that was your goal, that they said wow after 5 minutes, and you got them to the wow by providing value. I know when we were on your show, you did pull up your platform. If we could point someone to where they could go to look at that, it was a platform built for mortgage lenders that worked for realtors, because the mortgage coach is partnered to a realtor to be able to provide that realtor's client the best information possible to make great choices. Where can someone go to learn more about the tools that you do make available right now to mortgage lenders?
So trustengine.com is our website. Mortgage Coach is a product of trustengine.com. And then if you actually do a /10x on that, so trustengine.com /10x are some of the best interviews that I did last year of top mortgage professionals, exactly what they're doing, exactly how they're saying it. So that would be a place to go and watch some of the content, hear some of the interviews, and see examples of real world scripts of how they're using our platform out there in the real world.
How many loan officers today are using your platform, would you guess?
25,000-ish are active users of the Mortgage Coach platform.
So not just a few.
No. And whenever we've done the math, I mean, it's a really meaningful percent of the top 1%. Yeah. 34% of the top 1% loan officers use our platform.
Wow, that's amazing. So if you're a real estate team leader, you're a broker owner, a real estate company, or you're an individual real estate agent, how do I find a loan officer in my marketplace that's running your tech or your platform?
Yeah, no, that's a good question. I mean, we think about making that more available. Right now you're just going to have to ask around, hey, are you a mortgage coach? And then my push to you, if they say no, say why not. The majority of the loan officers will know why about us. Yeah. And I would highly recommend you push them to become a mortgage coach. Yep. They'll be more valuable to your consumers, and they'll be more valuable to you.
Yep, I love it. And we've always supported you ever since we launched Exarban Mortgage nationally, which is Nebraska spelled backwards. It's a national company. We're licensed in 10 states today, but with the intention to be licensed in all 50 states or 49 states by the end of the year. We've been one of the mortgage coaching clients. And of course, we're introduced through John Major Mortgage. John's one of our main LOs and coaches that we use across the country, and has always spoken very highly of you. So if you are an agent, broker owner, team leader out there, find a loan officer who's going to take it the next level. John does things like, of course, attend open houses together, run your Trust Engine platform at that open. Like you said, it's not just a pre-qual of how much can you afford. It's what's the best decision for your family.
Absolutely.
So you talked NAR for a second. I tiptoe around it just because we're not sure where that's all going to go. But I know you and I did talk about it on your podcast. That was one of the main questions you were asking me. For anyone listening across any of the verticals, where do you see the industry going the next 6 to 12 months? I know we have a presidential election this fall. Where are you guessing things will go in the next 6 to 12 months as it pertains to rate, as it pertains to buyer-seller demand, as it pertains to the industry as a whole?
Well, I think for us in the industry, it can't get much worse in terms of the inventory crisis, how high rates are. So we're in an election year, so I'm not an economist or a forecaster of those, but we do have a chief economist, Dan Rawich, And we believe that rates will go down. When they'll go down and when they'll really start having a meaningful impact, I'm not even going to comment on that because I don't know. And every time we think we know, we're disappointed. They're just not coming down as quickly as we can. But I see a constant improvement in the macroeconomics that support real estate. I personally believe I'm an investor in real estate, and I think it's going to be an incredible decade for real estate investors. When you look at the demographics and the supply of real estate, there's just nowhere but going up. When you look at the quality of credit, like no one's going to be forced to sell their home regardless of what happens in the market. So I'm really bullish on real estate, and I'm extremely bullish for modern mortgage and modern real estate professionals that embrace technology. And whether it's AI, I'm disciplining myself to use AI every day. I've got the ChatGPT app.
Yeah.
For those that use tech, for those that are we not only provide this incredible customer experience with Mortgage Coach, but we also predict who's most likely to want to buy, sell, or refinance real estate with our data platform. I truly believe that the professionals in both mortgage and real estate that embrace these technologies are going to take market share from those who don't. And I think it will be just an extraordinary time to be a professional. I think the industry as a whole needs to be more process driven, more data driven. But for the people that do that, I think it's going to be just glory days ahead.
What are your opinions around consumer direct? And I reference Rocket Mortgage because I feel like they were the first one to the playground almost 10 years ago or more. And in the beginning, it was like, I don't want to work with someone if they're not in my local backyard. Can a mortgage coach, loan officer provide value if they're not in your physical city and they're working remotely, so to speak, in your opinion?
Yeah, well, first of all, I believe in this hybrid world that we live in now. Right now we're digital. You and I are connecting digitally. Everybody watching this is connecting digitally. But when it comes to purchasing a home or selling a home, absolutely need to leverage digital tools. And sometimes Zoom is the right way to be connecting with some. Sometimes it's a digital link. But when you can get in, face to face with someone, that is always going to be the alpha way to connect and build lasting relationships. So I just believe in this hybrid model. Yep. Will consumer direct continue to grow market share? Of course. Yep. But I think ultimately, the companies and the human beings that have a really strong virtual game and a really strong in-person game are gonna be around forever and going to win the biggest.
100%. I agree fully with you. In 2020, I piloted an office concept for our brokerage that I called the hybrid tech-powered office of the future pre-COVID. And so every office had the most tech that you could have, fastest internet, 4K cameras, Aver sound bars, 55-inch monitors or 60-inch in some of the rooms. And the belief was the consumer should get to choose if they want the in-person or the virtual experience. It's so funny because everyone says, I want someone in person. But even when they're in person, oftentimes you never meet, maybe at closing, but you never meet because we're so comfortable now in this environment. But the consumer should get to choose.
Yeah, and remember, it's not even just choosing my partner. Are they local? Are they consumer direct? It's every touch point of the process. You called out like at closing in person.
Yep.
But there's just a number of different points throughout the course of a relationship. And by the way, we just called out the transactional relationship. To me, the players that are going to win the biggest have a great digital game, a great in-person game, and they're not fighting for a transaction. They're fighting for a 40-year relationship. And they're not only just fighting for that 40-year relationship to always be relevant, always be valuable, optimizing for financial freedom. Like we're not just optimizing to sell you a home or refinance your home. We're optimizing for you to have home ownership, financial freedom. And I'm in this game for you for 40 years. I'm in this game for you for.
I love it.
multiple decades.
I chatted
That's who's going to win.
Yep. I chatted with Stephen Meadows recently. And of course, Steve Murray was on my show a few months back. And we talked about exit strategy, valuations, mergers, sales, and all the different options people have as they build and scale. And of course, the mortgage is a piece to the transaction. We talked about how there's 6 core verticals. 3 are point of sale, which I argue is mortgage, title, and the real estate transaction. And then there's post sale. So if you have a database, you can always upsell property management. You can always buy property like with an iBuyer strategy, guarantee sale, and then you can do property casualty. And when you look at valuations, there's a huge valuation, of course, the more residual revenue you have, but arguably mortgage has a residual component in the refi. And this is where it's like realtors oftentimes don't know how to win with the refi business. So you have the right strategic partners. You can enter into, if you don't have ownership yet, because you're not a big enough player for economies of scale to kick in, you can create a strategic partnership with a mortgage lender, a mortgage coach. And not only will they help contribute to your ad spend for their point of sale closings, but also for their refi business. And so they should have a number economically on the back end where, depending upon how much business you're giving them, they'll take a percentage and put it towards your marketing dollar. And that's how I scaled my dominant team, our flagship team, I should say, that grew to be the number 1 team in the world at Berkshire. We had about $12,000 a month coming in from our mortgage coach, from our strategic partnerships, which we poured into lead gen, which we then gave those agents those leads. And the loan officer won their Sphere business, not just the internet leads that were getting purchased. And it created a really great win-win environment. What would you say to the realtors, team leaders, broker owners out there, and or loan officers that are listening? How can they win in a strategic relationship right now with real estate agents? What have you seen has been the best setup?
Well, first of all, I think the game that I'm playing is how to win for the next decade or two. And so first, we have to recognize that the demographics of America are changing, Gen Z buyers, millennial buyers. And to me, the way to win today, like get market share today, is to develop an educational platform, mortgage and real estate, that first of all, like my nonprofit, First Home IQ, I'm super passionate that we need to make sure that every 21-year-old old enough to drink understands how real estate appreciation works with mortgage leverage. And
how about understands how a credit card works?
Well, wait a minute. I'm going to go there.
There you go.
Working backwards by 18. That's when the credit card companies hit you. You need to understand how credit works and how your credit score will impact your life. And then by age 16, they need to understand about saving money, budgeting money, and how compound interest works. So we've got this framework of by 16, you need to know this, by 18, you need to know this, by 21, you need to know this. And so here's my answer. If every mortgage and real estate professional really got serious about being the first responders to the financial literacy crisis in America, and there is a financial literacy crisis in America, there is an affordability crisis in America. I think we all know that in housing. If you got serious at getting ahead of it, going into high schools and colleges and local communities, you will crush it with move-up buyers. Because, by the way, there's never been more equity in America. Boomers have equity.
Yep.
Boomers want to help their kids and grandkids get into home ownership. So if you really kind of like Wayne Gretzky, go to where the puck's going, go and build a practice and build skills and bring all these things, you're going to win with boomers. You're going to win with Gen Z or Gen X, and you're going to win with millennials. And then it's going to be another 5 years until the Gen Z really comes into being a big buyer of real estate, but they're buying real estate now. So my, check out firsthomeIQ.com, take the quiz. The quiz was really designed for high school and college age kids, although there's a lot of adults that don't do very good on the quiz. Right now, we're seeing Gen Z is averaging 57%. So that's a D. And people in the industry are getting an A. Most people in the industry are getting 90% above. But the typical people out there in America, they're getting C's and B's.
Yeah.
And we look to change that.
Well, and dare I ask why that is the situation? Why are we in this crisis? And and I don't know if we want to get into that today, but I think the system was intended that people didn't understand how the system worked. So I love to see you out there educating. That's what we both do as podcast hosts. We're educators. We give out free content to help people become the best version of themselves. So how can someone get into your world? What's your podcast called, or what's the Facebook page somebody can go to?
So I mean, Savage Insights will take you to both First Home IQ and Trust Engine content. My for-profit business is trustengine.com. Nonprofit is First Home IQ. I'm probably most active on LinkedIn, although I'm on all social media channels. And then we have a YouTube channel that, we post a video every other day. I try to interview the most successful loan officers in America. This Tuesday, I interviewed a loan officer that's closing over 300 loans this year. And it was all about how he's being more valuable to realtors. So
I love it.
I try to make it so the content, it is to turn loan officers into mortgage advisors. But I think with this NAR settlement, I need to really work hard on turning realtors into real estate advisors.
Yeah, 100%.
And so I'm creating more content around that.
Cool. And that's our passion too. So Elite is 100% focused on helping realtors, team leaders, broker owners, and leaders of any business understand the importance of serving those inside of their world, because that's going to help serve the end consumer. Like you said, not files, but families. I love that. That's going to stick with me. We are currently partnering in 3 different ways. One is our group coaching platform, which is 5 hours a week of content. It includes a team leader, broker owner call, individual agent training, group coaching calls, investor coaching calls. We have mortgage and insurance coaching calls every week. All the content is live, or you can watch the recordings on Go High Level. That's $1,000 a month. And then for an additional $1,000, you can get a one-on-one coach for 30 minutes a week. And then our flagship product is powered by Elite. We took it to the public this year, first time ever. It allows a real estate team leader or broker owner to instantly have ownership in mortgage, title, insurance, property management, and investment portfolios while you scale in your own marketplace, as well as strategic partnerships that drive leads, creates a lead gen division, provides you a front-end website, back-end CRM system. All of that is $3,000 a month. So for more information, go out to eliterealestatesystems.com, click on one of the blue buttons, fill out your information there, and you can set up a free 30-minute demo call with our Director of Growth, Logan Boyce. Dave, this was awesome. I love your energy. Love you coming on today. Love what you've done for the industry, first and foremost. Very impressive resume. We'll have to get you back on because you skipped over pretty quickly, going from 1 loan officer to 500 that were part of Mortgage Coach. I'm assuming that experience was more than a decade to get to that point. And I know there's a lot of people.
It took some time. Took
a little bit of time, a little bit of ladder climbing. And I know there's a lot of people here that have the ability to create some massive impact, have the desire to create the massive impact, but sometimes just simply don't know how. So please continue consuming the content on the podcast, both the team building podcast and all of the amazing content that Dave is putting out in the mortgage space. Thank you again for coming on the show today, Dave.
I loved it. Appreciate the opportunity.